Electrocast.
Cars say a lot about who we are.
It represents freedom for a lot of people.
This season on Drive, I'm going to talk to all sorts of different people.
I looked at car names.
Yes.
And
yes.
I found all the car names that have science or astronomically
it's
inspired.
Crazy.
It's huge.
It is. Yes, I happen to be CEO of Ford Motor Company. For me, it's all about cars, movement, and our mutual passion for things that get us around. This is Drive, and I'm Jim Farley.
This episode is brought to you by Paramount Plus. Ewan McGregor stars as Count Alexander Rostov in A Gentleman in Moscow, the new limited series based on the best-selling novel. Stream it on March 29th with the Paramount Plus with Showtime plan. Visit ParamountPlus.com to try it free.
Hold on to your butts.
We are changing the course of history as we see it. That is what Wesley demands.
Now, this affects Iris. Iris, where are you?
What you feel only matters to you. I do not entertain hypotheticals. The world as it is vexing enough.
Iris, I have a tip for you.
Don't take drugs!
Or whatever movies with Wesley and Iris.
What up, and welcome to Or Whatever Movies. I'm your host, Wesley, and today I'm interviewing a Barbie expert. Former employee of Mattel, no longer bound by a non-disclosure agreement, can dish all the tea. Can you dish tea? About Barbie. My sister, Iris.
Stereotypical Iris.
Oh, man. You have to tell me about Barbie.
I don't know that the statute of limitations is done on my NDA.
All right, I'll try to keep it not disparaging of Mattel necessarily, although Barbie was in many ways disparaging of Mattel.
Mattel was the full-on bad guys.
I get it, but also produced by Mattel. It was like Mattel Films.
That was the irony of which this movie had no shortage.
Rife. Okay, first question for Iris, the Barbie expert. What do you know about Barbie? Why are you qualified to be the expert in this discussion?
I was about to say, can we qualify this Barbie expert title that I'm now carrying?
You were a member of the Inner Sanctum.
True. I worked at Mattel for 6 years. I ended up across the slate of digital-first content. I worked specifically on Barbie for years. I did the Barbie and Barbie show. I did Barbie DIY, like Doinky Doink with actual plastic Barbie. I did Ask Barbie and worked, basically side by side with some of the producers producing the Barbie animations.
So were you around for the Amy Schumer Barbie movie era?
I was at Mattel when we had cast Amy Schumer and when we had replaced Amy Schumer with Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway, I do remember hearing about that. There was also some rumor that Gal Gadot was offered the role or couldn't do it.
That I can't substantiate, but Gal Gadot is kind of a great Israeli Barbie.
Would she be blonde? I'm not sure, though. Is that, because Barbie, obviously, generic, what are we calling her?
Stereotypical Barbie.
Stereotypical Barbie? Yeah, it has to be blonde. And the idea that someone passed, so it went instead to Margot Robbie, like that's a consolation, is pretty silly.
Well, Margot Robbie is obviously more than just a actor these days. Margot Robbie and her Lucky Chap Productions, which she runs with her husband, is a force. So Margot Robbie is not only a producer on this, she's a produced by P.G.A, which means that the Producers Guild of America validated her credit as being a true producing credit, someone who was overseeing the tone and tenor and creation of this film.
Obviously, there's some real credibility there. So next question, who is 2023 Barbie for?
Well,
is it for mom?
Absolutely.
Who has more Barbies than we do.
Wait, for our mom or like moms?
Yeah, for our mom.
It's not, I don't think it's for our mom, although our mom might be like, it was cute. Is it for moms? Yes. Is it for me? Absolutely, right? This generation, Barbie is an intergenerational brand shared by X and millennial moms alike, plus Y and perennials and alpha. This is for all of those people. Although I was definitely thinking after watching this that it's not a kids movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We went to the Irvine Spectrum to see Barbie on opening weekend, Friday night opening day, as a matter of fact, technically speaking. There were, middle-aged moms dancing around in their pink and swirling around and stuff. I went to the bathroom at one point just before the movie started, and I had to step aside because a theater door burst open and a bunch of teens, or maybe even tweens in pink, were like, that was the best movie I've ever seen. I have to see that movie again. And I was like, whoa, maybe it's for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, in trying to make this ageless or age appropriate for everybody, there's some questionable stuff for no matter who.
For sure.
There's definitely questionable stuff for mom, and there's definitely questionable stuff for the teens. How questionable? Is it PC or whatever? I don't know. Because this movie pissed a lot of people off, and I'm sure for a lot of people it hit them right in the sweet spot.
I think it hit the people it pissed off right in the sweet spot. This is a movie for everybody but kids. And I definitely went with a gaggle of middle-aged moms wearing pink. I don't remember the last time I actually bought a dress specifically for a movie. My nails are still hot pink with glitter. We went to dinner beforehand. We had a couple strawberry margaritas. This was a whole thing. And I'm not alone.
Those are pink.
Not even exactly. Recommended by our server because they were pink. This has become a cultural phenomenon that, to be honest, is a little bit mind-boggling, but I'm also happy for it, right? This was the first weekend, this Barbenheimer weekend, was the first weekend where I walked around AMC being like, wow, damn, cinema's back. It was popping. MacGuffin's bar was packed. The Ken dolls were in force and fierce. And then there were even some what do you call them? Cinema bros?
Sure.
Who were donning Barbenheimer shirts. I mean, this was a thing.
Yeah, I was shocked to find that Barbie has a higher budget than Oppenheimer did.
Wow.
At approximately $145 million, not to mention the extensive marketing budget, versus Oppenheimer's $100 million, and it's done almost twice the box office so far.
Let me tell you, from the Barbie global brand team, the marketing team, for world class, best marketers in the world, or at least among them, right? In terms of a fashion doll, when you want to kind of be reductive and kind of reduce Barbie to that status. These are world class marketers who are top of their game right now, and the Barbie-verse is on fire.
Barbie-verse. First time I've heard that term, although that seems weird that I haven't heard it until now. Okay, so being an insider, is that what the inner sanctum of Mattel really looks like? At least the bottom floor, not the penthouse.
That's so funny. Yeah, someone else asked me, they were like, is that really the Mattel headquarters? No. For the record, it's not. I think it's a building in Century City because I recognize that red sculpture. And there is a Mattel gear at the Mattel headquarters in El Segundo, but no, that was not. That phallic building was not the actual Mattel headquarters.
It was phallic? I didn't even note that. That's funny.
I think Will Ferrell calls it that.
It's definitely Matrix-style dynamic lighting with a green tinge to it, signifying reality. And then the opening of the movie, obviously, was a direct homage to 2001 and the importance of Barbie in the universe, its emergence or whatever, when everything else was dolls. And that made people laugh in my theater.
You know what? I thought that opening was spoiled because that was the initial teaser. It was released, 6 months ago. But Amy, I saw this movie next to Amy, the Sneak Chafin, and she was cracking up. I was like, how many? Have you not seen this 500 times already?
I don't know, man. 2001, I feel like that was spoiled. Also, just a touch on the nose, but there is no accounting for the sneak.
Okay.
So, next question is, she experienced existential dread. Barbie, all of a sudden, the thought of death entered her mind. This is because America Ferrera's character started playing with her and messing with her and having all these dark thoughts herself, right? So, do the Barbies age?
Do the Barbies in Barbie World age?
In Barbie World.
I don't think so.
They're all Barbie.
Yes.
Were they at one point all skippers?
No. No, they weren't skippers or midges.
So like Claudia in Interview with the Vampire, skippers are doomed in a pre-adolescent, but to stay in a pre-adolescent body forever?
Absolutely. Unless they are Watch Me Grow Skipper, where you can raise their arm.
No. Oh no. Watch Me Grow Skipper needs to be relegated to the cancellation bin or whatever, along with Magical Earring Ken. Those need to stay gone.
What about what's the baby doll where you give it its bottle and then it wets itself?
I recall that. It definitely wasn't a Barbie doll or in the Barbie line.
These are
right?
outmoded play patterns is what I'm saying.
Man, that's industry jargon
For
there.
sure.
But man, I mean, what could make you long for death more than being an eternal skipper?
Aww. Or Ken. The Kens were supposed to be the sympathetic characters in this.
Right? So he experienced a masculine existential crisis or whatever. He kind of became autonomously alpha. And you can tell that they were bad because all the Kens started to get body hair. They had like 5 o'clock shadows and stuff. Yeah. He's got like a light beard after that.
Oh, I missed that.
And I think he lost it by the end. Because when he pops up in the back of her Barbie Corvette, man, he is entirely hairless.
And airbrushed. Did he also grow a peener?
That's my other question. When he kind of becomes autonomous and gets all dude bro, how did that happen? Like the Barbie world seemed to be infected. But was someone playing with him? Is he like a surrogate? Is he like an avatar for somebody mistreating a Ken in the real world or what?
Well, Ken's a function of Barbie, right? So maybe there's some logic to her existential crisis bleeding into his. But basically, I read it as he was exposed to these patriarchal ideas for the first time.
Because they're a bleed from the real world.
Yes, exactly. And so he was basically just mind contaminated or infected with patriarchal ideas. And the horses.
It's something he needed to happen because the only thing worse than being an eternal skipper is to be an eternal Ken who is pining. And again, a blonde girl's just wrecking his life. She's like, I don't want you here. Poor Ken every night.
Is girls'
that
night.
Poor dude. Oh,
Is
man.
girls' night.
Blonde women are going to be the death of me and every other dude everywhere.
Well, all of the Barbies were like this, right? Did Alan have a Barbie? I don't remember.
Did Alan have his own Barbie? That would be weird and meta.
Well,
Oh, no. Alan's Barbie was Midge.
Oh.
I thought you meant did he have a doll?
Oh, no.
How dare you? Alan and Midge were married.
Oh.
And there was like Wedding Day Midge released as a doll, and I think Pregnant Midge. But I think they had to show very clearly. She was controversial because Midge was released pregnant, and they had to make it incredibly apparent that she was fully married. Like on her boxing, at first there was no sign of Alan, and people were like, whoa, she can't be an unwed single mother. So they like made her ring like comically large on her finger so you could see that she was married.
I just thought it was so hilarious and totally offensive that every time Midge showed up, people were terrified. They were like, ugh.
Yeah, Midge was Emerald Fennell.
Whoa. From Promising Young Woman?
Yep, director and writer of Promising Young Woman. Dare I say Academy Award-winning filmmaker, Emerald Fennell.
She seems like she'd be buddies with Greta Gerwig, just like Annie Mumolo, because she plays Annie in Bridesmaids. They seem like they're kind of cut from the same cloth and that they would be creative allies. But poor Annie Mumolo, she's always like the hyper anxious, also going through her own crisis character.
Yeah, the neurotic.
Yeah.
So then that brings me, well, not that, but now I'm moving on to the next question, which was when it first starts to bleed into the Barbie world and she encounters the dudes at the construction site.
Yes.
How does Barbie know what a penis and vagina are?
Like I would never talk about these things, except that Margot Robbie literally says, I don't have a vagina, and he doesn't have a penis, which felt oddly out of character for her Barbie, her stereotypical Barbie. So that was just weird. And what was your question?
How did she know what they were?
I mean, maybe so I can make something up, but I really don't know.
And then at the end, spoiler, she is going to her gynecologist. At some point, she got a vag. At one point, this isn't really a question. I'm just now thinking, well, she got one at some point. When did she get a vag, and how traumatic must that have been? And how elated Ken must have been to have actually gotten a wiener?
Was that what happened?
Because he was all looking for employment or whatever. But I don't think that's what happened. If he got a wiener once he entered the real world, I'm guessing that he would have occupied his time in other ways.
Oh, that's so gross. And also, is that what happened? Like, it was completely over my head how I'm going to my gynecologist or I'm here to see my gynecologist was a button. I have no idea what that means. Does it mean that she was going to get, did it assume that she had a vag and so she now needed to get it examined? Or was she actually going to get a vag?
Yeah, it's like one of the unromantic, unidealized, non-Barbie things that real women have to do. And at least this is my theory. I have no idea. Here I am mansplaining it to you. She is going to do the real things, all right? She understands now from America Ferrera's monologue what it means to be a woman, which didn't really amount to anything. It was like, I'm a woman, and it's hard, and people don't understand, and I have to do these things, and I'm supposed to look this way and feel this way, but I don't. And it's hard to be a woman, and it's hard.
She was saying...
And it didn't really deliver.
She was saying that being a woman is being a contradiction.
And it's just like so I guess the lesson to be learned is understand me for the woman that I am, for even if it doesn't necessarily make sense to you. And maybe in that way, these things can be written off as it's confusing. It doesn't have to be completely linear for the Barbie movie because some things can be not realistic. You know, there was the realism that the Barbie dream house doesn't have a stairwell. So Barbies just magically float down from one floor to the other because that's what little girls have to do. They have to like pull them out of one floor and shove them into another.
Well, mine had an elevator and it did have a slide.
Are you talking about when you were a kid or what Mattel gave you for being a part of the Barbie project?
My 80s Barbie dream house had a little white trellised elevator on the outside.
Oh, man. That's the bougiest thing I've ever heard,
And
man.
my weird Barbies would get in the elevator, be conveyed down to their Barbie Corvette, and then cruise off into the sunset.
Yeah? Did it have a stable for your horse? Oh, no, your horse was real. Sorry.
Wow.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Life is hard, but finding a really great podcast makes the days go by so much easier. Hi, my name is Blue Telusma. I'm a writer, an emotional intelligence coach, and the host of Humanize with Blue Telusma, a podcast where we believe that when you humanize everyone in the room, a great conversation is almost guaranteed. Join us every week here on Electricast as me and my guest co-hosts unpack big topics and interview even bigger personalities with a sense of humor and a dash of mischief. If you're looking for a new best friend in your head, we've got you covered. Electricast.
Do you know that I'm going to confess that I actually had my Barbies do it, like with their Kens?
Ew.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
See, you'd think that would have been the angle, but also they didn't do it, like Barbie had no interest in Ken.
Well, in this version, yeah.
Did you also like bust them up and make them do the splits and make them tore up Barbies?
I definitely had weird Barbies, for sure. I don't know that I ever drew on their faces.
I think you had a little bit more reverence for even though you made him nasty. But Ken, But you had a Ken. Mom was like, I'm going to buy you a boy doll to go with your girl doll, and I'm sure you won't make him bone.
I had a Ken, maybe a couple Kens max.
So that Ken was a player because it boned all your Barbies and your Skipper.
I don't think I had any Skippers, although there were lots of Kens. The ratio was off in the Barbie movie. There were lots of Kens. And typically, in the Barbie content or in any of the girl fashion doll content, Monster High, Ever After High, even some of the younger facing brands, Polly Pocket, the ratio is always like 5 or 6 to 1.
Yeah, because they can accessorize better.
Absolutely.
Dudes are boring.
Yeah. No, dudes are the tokens.
He needed the squad, and he needed to make it. Couldn't be Ken taking over the world. It needed to be a whole posse of Kens.
Yeah,
like in choreographed dancing.
Exactly. They also needed to rumble, like a Grease style rumble minus the switchblades.
Yeah, that might as well have been breakdance fighting.
Yeah, this was confusing. This was a kind of ironically wildly ambitious story that discusses a lot of contradictory, paradoxical, dualistic thinking theories and concepts. It's a little bit all over the place. I'm kind of trusting that maybe it makes sense, but there was a lot about this that didn't.
There was a lot, And then we go into Barbie land, and it's like everybody, hi Barbie, hi Barbie, hi Barbie, hi Ken, and everybody's doing their thing, and everything is awesome, and everything is cool when you're part of a team. and that was what people wanted, and then it very quickly got strange. There were stakes, I guess, that she was becoming a real woman, but not a tore up Barbie version of the woman. I cannot claim that I understood all of it either, and I don't know if that makes me sound dumb or whatever, but I don't think, to your point, that it was meant to be cut and dry, and that makes for confusing feelings. But also, I beheaded all your dolls. I threw Fluffy out the car window.
Shut up, you didn't. Did you?
I dismembered all my He-Man.
Wait.
Did you block it out? If these dolls...
Wait, you threw Fluffy out the car window?
You were there.
And I was traumatized, but my memory, in my memory, even though Fluffy had a leash, she was simply sucked out the window.
No, not quite. Fluffy is Iris's dog. She was pink and white, and she had big Dumbo ears what made her fly. And then I was like crocheting, like you do that weird thing at camp where you learn how to crochet with yarn on your fingers. I crocheted, if that's what you call it, a leash for Fluffy. I then put the end of the leash, which was a piece of string, a yarn, in your hand and promptly threw Fluffy out the window of the car. And you screamed like Paloma, and Mom and Dad, we were like screaming for them to pull over, but we were on the highway. And Mom and Dad refused, and were all pissed at me. And I was like, you should have held on to the leash, which in fairness, you didn't know was a leash, which has haunted me for upwards of probably 40 years now. And I got yelled at by Mom and Dad, not only for pushing Fluffy out the window of the car, but because we were actually headed to Disneyland, which they were trying to surprise us with. And the surprise was all ruined.
My day was just ruined.
Yeah.
Like
Still feel
right
guilty
now.
about
Yeah,
that.
you should. I'm pissed off at you. In my memory, I had spared you of this responsibility. I've even talked to my children about Fluffy and how traumatic an experience that was.
Yeah, you also have to put some of the blame on Mom and Dad who didn't stop. Because you best believe, if it was Kelly Ray's dog that went out, like a stuffed dog that went out the window, I would have pulled that shit to the shoulder and I would have ran down the highway, unprotected, to get that stuff back.
Yeah, Mom and Dad, come on.
Come on.
Seriously.
They were like war babies, though. They were born in the war, just after the Depression. It's tough times.
That's messed up, dude. That was a sad day, Fluffy.
It was a sad day,
R.I.P.
and I still have guilt about it.
Yeah, you should.
So, you're old and should be well past the trauma of Fluffy by now. Did you laugh when America Ferrera's daughter accused her of shining with Barbie?
Yes, absolutely.
Did anyone else laugh?
The whole theater.
Not my theater.
Just you, alone, barking?
I did a snort or whatever, but it was a 43-year-old reference that should have landed with some Barbie fans. Not at all. Dead silence in my theater.
Oh, no, that one got a good one. We had a good, lively audience.
Okay. I mean, we did too, for sure, because like I said, they got hysterical. Then they quieted down for the confusing bit, and then they got hysterical again at the end. So, did anybody in the theater know who the Ruth character was? The Lily Tomlin character?
I thought that was so obscure. I mean, I know Ruth Handler well. We have the Handler Team Center, which is the arguably cool office building on the Mattel campus. But that's me. And I worked at Mattel for 6 years. Like, who in the audience could have known or even cared who Ruth Handler was? And I get it. She's the creator. She's the Will Ferrell character from Lego, and not the only, parallel with the Lego movie. But like, I want to ask you, like, did you care who Ruth Handler was?
I knew who she was supposed to be. If you had said Ruth Handler, no clue. But I knew that she was going to be, when she was like randomly introduced, the creator of Barbie. She kind of had to be. But that's because I've seen movies like this before. I kind of understood it. And of course it was revealed in the end. But until that time, especially when she's like Ruth and you're supposed to be like, oh, it's the creator. But until that time, in the moment, she was just like some weird prescient oracle who didn't oracle anything, who didn't she didn't really, so you kind of had to know. Otherwise it was like, that was random until she shows up again. And that's kind of a lot of what this movie was. I admit that for me, it did lag a little bit in the middle because they went from everything is awesome Barbie land to full existential crisis. And I was like, look, it's a novelty seeing her in Venice Beach and getting her butt slapped by like random dude bros and then she punches them and stuff. But also, where are we going? Like, is she just going to go back Soul style? That was a Disney Pixar reference that nobody got into the movie. Like, where are we going? And it did come around, but there were a lot of confusing elements, Ruth not the least among them.
Yeah. I don't know that even if you picked it apart, dissected it scene by scene, that it would necessarily make sense. And I kind of had the same complaint about the Lego movie. I don't know that the two worlds actually made sense.
Was it lost on you that America, albeit America Ferrera, literally woke the brainwashed Barbies?
I'm sure that's got the conservatives riled up.
Conservatives are very riled up, but I don't know that this was deliberately provocative in a way that was intended to piss off anybody except possibly Mattel was in on it. Was there like a little core of female Barbie producers who were like, we're going to stick it to the top brass? Because like Mattel CEO is the Will Ferrell character name. He was never named. I don't know if the actual upper reaches of Mattel are all pissed off about this.
They can't
imagine.
They can't be. I mean, they would have approved every step of this creative process.
And now they're laughing all the way to the bank and cashing them checks?
Pretty much. You were saying that you don't think that this was intended to rile people up or piss people off. That being said, they definitely didn't play this safe because the Barbie brand is a brand that has been, brand safety is a big thing. And you protect these brands and you protect their identities. I was privy to really early iterations of this story, but I was kind of shocked at how bold this was.
Do you know that there hasn't been a movie based on a doll in 15 years? I think it was Bratz was the last toy doll movie. And Bratz didn't push the envelope. I think it's safe to say Barbie pushes the pink envelope.
When they hired Robbie Brenner to head up Mattel Films, first of all, I was like, the producer of the Dallas Buyers Club? It's going to head up films for families and children. But maybe there was something inspired by that. Robbie Brenner has built a slate like Mattel has never seen before and has engaged the highest caliber of filmmakers and really pulled off something so bold. I would have never thought that she would be able to get this through the ranks of the Mattel brass. And the fact that this gamble is paying off is kind of a miracle and a real win for Robbie Brenner, Mattel Films, and Mattel.
Man, the conservatives were hardcore mad. And some of them called it, man-hating trash on social media. Someone called it feminist cancer. Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
And when the Kens took over, I was a little bit disappointed. I was like, this is a weird direction for the story to go. And it's kind of lessening the impact. It's making it ugly and patriarchal and not what the Barbie movie was supposed to be. But ultimately, I think the strength is in, it's uniting and using their political community to affect change and et cetera. And ultimately, the strength of the Barbie movie, I think, is in the satisfactory resolve. It kind of came around and got everybody in my theater back cheering, which is why I don't think it spun off into a convoluted mess of just general wokeness and trying to throw as much as they could at the screen. I think it ultimately worked in a strangely feminist way that didn't have to make 100% sense. And I feel like it was effective in a way that I was shocked to discover was possible, given the kind of framework they set up for themselves. It's like they slipped it in under the radar, and the conservatives were just confused.
The fact that Barbie brings up anything other than just vacuous, superficial thoughts is a real triumph. This movie gets you thinking in surprising ways, maybe some confusing ways too, but ultimately, it's fun, kind of a raucous triumph for the doll line, for the Mattel, and for cinemas.
Well, I was shocked to find that Barbie delivered for me. What is your professional opinion and rating of Barbie?
I'll give it a good.
You know what's strange about this movie? It's kind of the Mattel's place. You know, they're embracing all the warts of their own, the pop culture legacy that they've kind of created. And it's admirable to poke fun at themselves.
But what I'm saying is like calling them, being self-aware of them doesn't necessarily excuse them.
It doesn't excuse them, but it shows that they are not penitent because it's still an enterprise. It's, you know, the whole point is to sell Barbies. But to give you an idea, Aqua's Barbie Girl, a song we all know, at least if you're over 12 years old.
I'm a Barbie
It was
girl.
present in the closing credits, and people had criticized it online for not appearing in the initial trailer of the movie. But you have to remember that Mattel sued Aqua over Barbie Girl, citing copyright infringement, and has now embraced it, remixed it, overlaid a rap onto it, and is really embracing all the ugly parts of what it meant to be Barbie, standing up against all this criticism.
That's right.
You know, evolving over the years by necessity. I'm going to go with kind of admirable that they are in this position now, because they really could have played it safer, and I'm not sure more profitable.
Yep.
I think to really reach something and to be memorable as a movie, Barbie achieved kind of the impossible by doing maybe the only thing that was possible.
Barbie is a contradiction unto itself. She's both a feminist icon and a purveyor of unhealthy body issues, and an anti-consumerist utopia creating leader, and also like some of the ugliest manifestations of plastic, you know, waste creating consumerism, you know, perpetrators of childhood. It's not even worth listing off the contradictions, but to embrace those and to somehow parallel them with the contradictions of being a female, being a woman in today's society, kind of brilliant. And you're giving it
I'm giving it an all right. It's always nice when something exceeds your expectations, because these movies are expensive and Barbies are expensive.
That's an all right from Wes, a good from Iris, and this is our discussion on Barbie from 2023. And if you enjoyed this discussion or the 200 others at orwhatevermovies.com, give us a 5-star review. Become a movie friend on Patreon. Hit us up at orwhatevermovies@gmail.com, 818-835-0473. Thanks for listening, and bye, Barbie.
Hey there, fabulous souls. I'm Stephanie Baklaan.
And I'm Eden Alpert.
And we're the hosts of the brand new podcast, Unapologetically Fab.
Get ready to join us on an amazing and real journey as we dive into life after 40 and own it.
We're all about changing the narrative, leaning into who you are, and living a life by your own design.
Join us as we embrace life unapologetically and redefine success.
This is Unapologetically Fab,
an Electric Cast production.
See you there.
Electricast.
Hey there, I'm DC. I host the rock podcast Back to the Arena, The Interviews. It's about a 30-minute podcast where I talk one-on-one with a band who has released new music. You can find us on all the best podcast sites like Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, and more. If you're a rock fan like me, subscribe today to Back to the Arena, The Interviews.
Electricast. Electricast.